You're scrolling, drifting through the endless static of the algorithm, waiting for the signal to cut through the noise. Consider, if you will, that you just found the frequency. You've just stepped off the timeline of the everyday, into the space where the forgotten history and the hidden truths finally touch down. There's the story you know, and then there's the airspace we're about to enter. Check your coordinates, because you're heading towards the landing point. Welcome back, friends. Today's story, Life in a Jar. She was, by all appearances, an ordinary young woman. A petite, unassuming social worker working in a city that had just been plunged into darkness. When the walls went up around the massive section of her beloved city, trapping hundreds of thousands of people inside a ghetto, most citizens looked away. But she didn't. She looked in. Securing a permit from the city's epidemic control department, she gained access to the restricted zone under the guise of checking for signs of typhus. But she wasn't going in to bring in medicine. She was going in to bring something far more precious out. She and her clandestine network began a quiet, desperate operation. They were smuggling out children. She used every method imaginable. Teenagers were sneaking out through the sewers. Toddlers were hidden under stretchers in ambulances. Infants were sedated and carried in potato sacks, toolboxes, and sometimes even coffins. She even had a dog she kept in the back of her truck, trained to bark aggressively whenever she passed the Nazi guards, perfectly masking the sound of a crying baby. In total, this one woman orchestrated the rescue of nearly 2,500 children. She placed them with sympathetic families, in orphanages, and in convents, giving them forged documents and new, non-Jewish identities. But for this young woman, merely saving their lives wasn't enough. She knew that if they survived the war, they deserved to know who they truly were. They deserved to know the parents who had made the ultimate sacrifice to let them go. So she began keeping a list. She rolled these delicate lists up, placing them inside glass jars and burying them deep in the dirt beneath an apple tree in her friend's yard. Eventually, the Gestapo caught on to her. She was arrested, sent to the infamous Powak prison, and tortured so brutally that her legs and arms were fractured. But she never gave up a single name. Scheduled to be executed, the underground resistance managed to bribe a guard at the last possible moment, and she escaped into the shadows, living out the rest of her war under a fake name herself. When the war finally ended, she went back to the apple tree. She dug up the jar, handed the 2,500 names over to the Jewish committee, and tried to reunite the children with their families. Yet for decades, her astonishing heroism was buried almost as deeply as the jars. Living behind the Iron Curtain in a communist state, her story went untold. The world simply didn't know. That is, until 1999. Half a world away, a group of high school girls in rural Kansas were digging through historical archives for a history project. They stumbled across a brief, obscured clip mentioning a Polish woman who had saved 2,500 children. The students had assumed it had been a typographical error. After all, Oster Schindler had famously saved 1,200 Jews, and the whole world knew his name. How could one woman who had saved twice as many yet be entirely missed in the history books? They dug deeper. They wrote a play about her called Life in a Jar. And in their research, those Kansas teenagers made one final, staggering discovery. The hero they were studying wasn't just a figure of the past. She was still alive, living the quiet life in a small apartment in Warsaw. Thanks to the group of curious schoolgirls, the world would finally learn the name of the woman who had outwitted the Gestapo with an apple tree and a few glass jars. She is Irina Sendler. Viewers, thank you for watching today, The Landing Point. We really appreciate it. I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Roadrunner Real Estate. They are a full-service real estate company doing both commercial and residential real estate. They can help you buy, sell, or even lease your properties. So if you're in the market looking for a real estate company, please go out and give them a call. They'll happily help you today. The next thing I'd like to talk about is our social media. Obviously, we have YouTube if you're watching that today. If you haven't done so already, please go out and subscribe. It is completely free to you. There's nothing that you'll be charged or your membership fees, but it does help us out so we can get our latest episodes to you quickly, and you can find out what's going on with YouTube. Our other place that we do a lot of our social media is on our Facebook page, The Landing Point. So please go out and like and subscribe, or follow those, I guess I would say, so you get the latest updates. If you're a person that likes to listen to stories as you're out on the drive, we have our podcast. You can find The Landing Point out there, and it can be on most services. So once again, thank you for watching The Landing Point, and we look forward to see you on our next story.